Hey everybody, just wanted to do a super quick video today talking about like different types of cuts and the damage that they're going to do. So we're going to take a look first at cutting against a branch. I tend to like this kind of stuff better than using tatami mats. I just kind of find it wasteful. So I have so much forest here that the birch trees here make like a lot of this has to be cleared anyway because it keeps on encroaching on the path. And so basically we're going to do a few different types of cuts and see how deep that they cut. So this is just with a single-handed sword. That's probably too thick to cut with a single-handed sword. You could probably get that with a long sword, especially like a tournament style cutter. You cut right through that limb. I've done it before. Or with anything really big, right? With a single-handed sword, that's a little bit too thick, and that's really thicker than any of the bones that you'd have to. You got to remember that, like even through the thigh, it's not that thick, right? So even a decent cut will do it. And we're going to take a look at like, finger cuts, cuts with a little bit of rotation on them and kind of see how they affect it differently. So this is a Norman sword. It's pretty similar to a lot of broadsword blades, balanced a little bit differently. I could have done it with my back sword, but I figured I'd use this. This is kind of like a workhorse sword. And so we'll just take a look at what different types of cuts do. First one I want to do is kind of like a wrist cut, or a finger cut rather. So it's going to be about here, tilted slightly back. I'll probably do it with a little bit of a lunge, extending the arm, lunge. I don't expect it to go super deep inside of it, but we'll kind of see what it does. All right. So let's take a look at that. So just a quick cut. You can see where it went through right here. Not sure if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. So it actually went super deep into it, like not quite halfway. Actually, no, it went halfway through. So that actually went way deeper than what I thought. And so soft tissue is way easier to cut than that. Significantly easier to cut. And that was just from about here, like slightly tilted back and a cut forward, okay? So now we're going to do one with a little bit of a moulinet. So in other words, I'm going to get a circular rotation, and then I'm going to come cut through. So the elbow might bend a bit. That's pretty typical. A lot of times you'll do it kind of from far away. You'll start and then bah, and hit at the end. So we'll put a little bit more arm into it. Okay, so that did significantly more. So again, deeper than halfway. You can see where it's split there. And like the tree is it's moving differently now because of that. You can see it went about halfway. If you look from the other side, it's just about as deep. So pretty significant damage from that. Again, that would cut through most of the bones clean in your body. And so now we're going to take a look at like an arm cut. So that would include like a bit more preparation. So you might use a cut like this, boom, after a parry riposte, and boom. And it doesn't have to go quite behind your head the way that I did, or like a inside half hanger kind of cut, like any one of those, or even a St. George if I want to cut down from there. That's a really powerful cut. Maybe let's try from St. George. Okay, I was wrong. I didn't think that I'd be able to cut clean through it, but I did. So from a St. George, you can cut clean through that. And that's like I said, that's thicker than any bone that you'll find in your body. If you just compare that to like my wrist, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good angle of it, but if you just compare that, and this sword isn't even that sharp, right? If you compare that to my wrist, it's thicker, thicker than my arm bone even. So pretty sickening damage from a St. George, and that's just from like a parry position to cut. That's not even me like really, really winding up for it. So you can imagine. Let's see if maybe we could get one more cut from this tree. Okay. So kind of the next one that I'm going to do is maybe from open fight, kind of like a silver position or a Guardia Alta, a high position. And then I can do kind of like a big cut with it. So that one, my edge turned a little bit. We'll try that again. So I'll cut right through. So pretty good cuts. I mean, it doesn't take much as you think. And so you'll see guys like really whipping their body through, turning the hips, cranking themselves. That was like a little bit of that stuff, but not a ton of it. It doesn't take a whole lot. And that's tougher than cutting through tatami mat for sure. It's tougher than most of the targets that you're going to be cutting. Again, that's way thicker than any of the bones in my body. And it would sever that completely. So even when we're talking about those small finger cuts, it went about halfway through that. So that would cut through, like that would do significant damage. So any small cuts, even like the little nicking ones, fingers are gone. That's going to bite to the bone. It's very serious. There's not a whole lot that's going to save you from that.